Mike Scharfenberg, Game Plan You today. And welcome to episode 18 of Interview with Influencers. As always, thank you for spending part of your day with us. And, I'm just so excited to be back. And as we're approaching the end of 2020 and, on the horizon of 2021, couldn't be more excited to announce that we have a big time lineup coming up for you to close out the year, starting right here today. But before we bring out our special guest, for those of you who've been following Game Plan U on our social channels, you're aware that we've been running over the past month our inaugural sprint competition, which is a head-to-head bracket-style tournament with the sport tech founders that are part of our global sport community. And as we approach the championship round this week, we could not be more blessed to have received over 14,000 votes since we began a month ago. And that's a testament to all of you. And on behalf of Game Plan U and more importantly, on behalf of the founders in our community, we cannot say thank you, enough. Each vote that's cast puts, each founder one step closer to reaching their dreams and helping change the industry. So you're making an impact with every vote you make. So keep it up. Voting is live until Saturday night. You can vote at gameplanu.org/sprint. I also want to give a big time shout out to our three panelists, Jared Barnes, Bryce Only, and Steve Gilman, as well as the legendary Larry Long, who hosted our sprint showcase yesterday. If you missed it, it's live on our YouTube channel. Feel free to check it out. And it's a really deep dive into these companies and lifting up the hood. So again, thank you for all your participation. And it's not over yet. Your votes still count. Get out there, vote, and help crown that inaugural champion. So with that said, let's bring out our very special guest. He is spent 15 years as the director of corporate marketing with the NCAA, spent over 12 years as the senior associate commissioner for Conference USA, and is currently the senior director of marketing and strategic partnerships for the college football playoff. So it's my great honor to welcome in Alfred White. Alfred, big virtual round of applause. How you doing?
Thank you very much, Mike. I'm glad to be with you today.
100%. It's a pleasure to have you on. I thank you for your time. So Alfred, before we dive into your journey, and I'm super excited to learn more about it, as I know our audience. I saw a poll the other day that stated, 75% of participants in that poll, they're ready. They're ready to get back to venues. They're ready to get, have those memorable experiences again. And, it's different with each venue and each team, right? Some teams and events you can go to, some you can't. They're all limited capacity. It's tough to get your hands on a ticket, right? With that said, I know you come to us with a very, very special opportunity to not only attend an event, but to attend one of the biggest events in sports. So before we dive in, I'd love to hear, and our audience would love to hear a little bit about what you have going on and what you have for us.
Well, we have the 2021 College Football Playoff National Championship game scheduled for Monday, January the 11th at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. We will have a reduced capacity stadium to play our national championship game in this year. As far as in-stadium seats are concerned, we are, as we speak, planning for 18% capacity. But the ultra good news, as far as we're concerned, is we have all of the suites in the stadium available for sale. The local laws around Hard Rock Stadium are going to allow us to sell the suites at full capacity as far as seats are concerned, but they will not allow us to sell standing room only seats or standing room only opportunities in these suites. And so we're really excited to maybe be the one of the first major events back online and giving fans the opportunity to come and enjoy, the College Football Playoff National Championship game.
Can't think of a bigger event than that. It's right up there with the Super Bowl. So big time event coming up. So for more information, I am blessed to have the opportunity to work closely with Alfred on this, as well as Rob Thompson, our founder. So for more information, feel free to reach out to myself. Feel free to reach out to Alfred, and we'd love to answer any questions you have and help facilitate that experience for you. So with that said, let's dive in, Alfred. So let's dive into you and your background. So let's get it started with, how did you discover the business side of sports? And then for those who don't know, tell us who you are. Walk us through your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Well, certainly, and I consider myself to have had a really charmed career in this industry, and it really started early. I was in high school and making an attempt to play college baseball, and got myself injured. And I had a phenomenal relationship with my high school baseball coach, Coach Akins. And rather than getting injured and getting swept under the carpet, he presented me with an opportunity to announce high school baseball games at the facility where we played our district games in Houston. I grew up in Houston, attended Waltrip High School, and that led me to Texas Tech. But in high school, I had this opportunity to announce high school baseball games. That opportunity bled over into an opportunity to announce summer league college baseball games, and there I met professional scouts, and I also met college baseball coaches. And as fate would have it, I met the head baseball coach at Texas Tech University, who presented me with an opportunity to go to Texas Tech and work in the athletics department from the day I set foot on campus at Texas Tech. And so I worked in the sports information office throughout my college career. Met some phenomenal individuals. Had a handful of opportunities coming out of college. Elected to stay there at Texas Tech as an assistant sports information director. Did that for 3 years, and that opened the door for me to go to the NCAA, where Mike mentioned I was there for 15 years. Now that at the end, I was director of corporate marketing, but I went there as an assistant director of communications, and had a variety of titles over those 15 years. Made a variety of contacts over those 15 years, learned the ins and outs of athletics administration, college athletics administration, and that opportunity gave me the chance to be a college commissioner. I was commissioner of the Southern Conference for 3 years, and actually that might have been one of my most favorite jobs in my career. But wonderful people in the Southern Conference of those colleges and universities in the southeastern part of our country. And then I had to dip my toe into professional sports. It's opportunity that I had. I took advantage of going and being one of the inaugural franchises of the National Basketball Development League. Did that for 3 years, and then came back to college athletics because it was that experience that helped me decide that really college athletics is my passion. And so I came back to Conference USA and worked in various roles there before coming down the street. I can almost see the office where Conference USA was located at the time from where I'm standing right now. But I came to the college football playoff a little over 4 years ago, and I've been enjoying it ever since.
Love it. I love it. I think some of the things that stood out to me right away was you made your own luck, right? From the start in high school. I feel like a lot of our journeys on the business side of sports, we all want to be the next pro athlete. And we realize pretty quick, we're like, we may have to pivot here. But you put yourself in the position. You didn't sit back and, you're a college freshman. Like, you had college on the horizon. You could have went out, I'm just going to go have fun. I'll figure it out later. You didn't do that. You put yourself in the position to get to know people, to figure out what you wanted to do and build those relationships. So I love that. I also, you mentioned how the Southern Conference was one of your favorite roles that you had, and but you left it to experience something else. And I think that's so important for young career seekers to realize now is, You can't just, when you have a good something you love, you got to continue to look for the next steps and put yourself in different positions. Because if you just stay as something that's comfortable, you're never going to grow and get better. So love all of that. In terms of your role as commissioner, right? And you could go to the Southern Conference or Conference USA, whichever way you want to go with it. Either way, I'm sure you had your hand dipped in a lot of different hats, right? So can you elaborate on that a little bit? What were some of the different major responsibilities you had, and what were some of the key traits that you felt helped you succeed in those roles?
One of the common denominators in my career has been, wonderful people. It's been wonderful people that have helped me from step to step to step to step to step. It was wonderful individuals that I'd worked with at the NCAA that helped me get the role at the Southern Conference. And once I was at the Southern Conference, it was those same wonderful individuals that I dealt with to get that job that helped me be successful in that job. And I think my proudest accomplishment at the Southern Conference would have been facilitating the opportunity for them to put together their first strategic plan as a conference. They had basically operated on a day-to-day basis and more or less handling issues as they presented themselves to them. But when I got there, and as I was listening to the leadership of the conference when I got there, it became apparent to me that there were some folks that had a vision for the conference, and they wanted to get other members of the conference to align in a unified way with a vision. And I was fortunate enough to bring in some consultants and help them align on a vision that, as I understand it, they still have that strategic plan. It's been modified over the years, but they still have that strategic plan that they operate off of, and it's leading them to success even today. I think at Conference USA, one of the really cool things that I did there. Now I worked with coaches and administrators at the Southern Conference, but I was a little more in the weeds with coaches and administrators at Conference USA. I managed football, I managed baseball, I managed men's golf primarily, and some of the conversations you catch yourself in, working with coaches and administrators, whether it's officiating, whether it's scheduling. Sometimes coaches will call you and they'll be mad, and you have to be there to listen for them. And at some point during the conversation, you basically say, "So, Coach, is this a formal complaint or are you just venting?" And I bet you 99% of the time I heard coaches tell me, "Oh, Alfred, no, I'm just getting some stuff off my chest. I don't want to file anything formal, but I was just looking for somebody to listen." And so I was more than happy to be that individual for them, to be a listener for whatever it was they had on their mind.
Boy, would I love to be a fly on the wall for a couple of those conversations. Well, throughout the years, I'm sure you have stories that a little too explicit to get into today, but one of the things you said that's just so important is relationships and the power of quality relationships, and the fact that you had those relationships with all of those individuals, that they felt comfortable reaching out to you just to vent, and you were able to listen and provide that support. It just shows you and how you've gotten to where you are, and so I love that. So in terms of some major changes, I think that's a term thrown around a lot today. With everything going on in our world, there's a lot of change. So from your time in your career in college athletics, and I'll let you kind of run with this, in whichever direction you want, but what have been some of the major changes that you've seen throughout your time?
I think the biggest change that I've observed since being in a leadership role in the industry has been the involvement of college presidents and the faculty athletics representatives. I think and when I was much younger, getting into the industry, I think college athletics in general was by and large managed by high-profile coaches to a more broader extent, and to a lesser extent by the administrators. And I think right about the time I got to the Southern Conference was when college presidents were getting a little bit more involved in the big picture management and the day-to-day management of college athletics. Because I think they felt like they were losing control of this sliver of their, for lack of a better phrase, business set that they ultimately had responsibility for. But things were going on that they didn't feel like they had total control of. And so college presidents in the late probably right around the 2000s or so, presidents were starting to get really, really involved in things. And they then brought along the faculty athletics representatives. And really this all kind of crescendoed into student athletes having more of a say in the way that their lives and their careers were being managed. It's really blossomed to where we are today. We're having a conversation about name, image, and likeness, and it's really kind of gotten us to a place where 20, 30 years ago, student athletes weren't being listened to all that much. They didn't really have a voice. But these days, they have a significant voice. You will notice that as things were unfolding prior to the college football season, you heard a lot of football players speaking up about how their sport would be managed this year. And so I think that opened the door for student athletes to be able to have that opportunity to express their feelings. And so I think that's a significant change in the way things have happened over the course of my career.
Very interesting. Yeah, I think it was it the Big Ten, I believe. I believe so. I heard reading an article the other day saying how the athletes played such a pivotal role in getting football back. How they want to, that they want
to big petition. Their parents got involved. They were heard, as it turns out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is a livelihood for a lot of these college athletes, especially from on a football standpoint. This is their time, and right. It's just that it's incredible to see that transformation. And so, speaking of change, in times of change, it's a lot of times there's adversity, unfortunately, right? Where situations that you have to jump over, hurdles. Can you speak to a time in your career where you faced immense adversity, and what were some of the things and strategies that you used to help overcome that?
Well, I during my time at the Southern Conference, we were in the process of moving our basketball championship from one site to another. And we had a wonderful opportunity to play our basketball championship in Greenville, South Carolina. And at the time, the Confederate flag flew over the state capitol in Columbia, South Carolina. And as we were having these conversations to have our basketball championship in South Carolina, a lot of folks wanted to talk with us about the history of segregation in the South in general and in South Carolina in particular, and would we want to be a part of making some change there? Well, we had members that were also in the state, and so we had to consult with those members that were in the state to make sure that they were a part of any kind of significant decision that we were going to make. Long story made short, we did end up playing that tournament in the state, but the flag was it was moved from the top of the Capitol to on the Capitol grounds. You know, it eventually came off of the grounds, but our role in the change was getting it moved. It was a little movement. It was a little progress. It was not the total progress. Yes, it was kind of liking to what the SEC did in Mississippi earlier this year, where they got the stars and bars removed from the state flag in Mississippi. But I remember vividly that opportunity to to be a part of that in South Carolina as commissioner of the Southern Conference, and really it never really got contentious. It was a calm conversation. A little bit of change was made. It led to some other changes further down the road. But talk about adversity. That was some that faced me front and center.
Wow. Yeah, I just, that's a conversation for another day of why, I know there was a lot of brought up about that this year and why it's taken that long to get these things, get that flag removed. But, I think that leads perfectly into the next, topic and how calm, that could have easily escalated out of control, that conversation. Right. But as someone, in a leadership position and a professional, it's being able to compromise, right, and listen to both sides. And I think that's definitely an important trait in leadership and why you've been so successful in those roles. So for those, speak to those who want to transition from, an account executive or whatnot into the leadership and into management. What is some advice that you have for those that are aspiring to work their way into management?
Well, I think it goes a little further back from working into management. I think it goes back to just getting into the industry to begin with. I think planning is a big part of being in this industry. I think I tripped into a plan. It was, I don't know that I did it on purpose, but I've always been a little bit of a checklist kind of person. But it got to a point where I set out and created a checklist of things I wanted to do. And then I went about my business to get those things done. And they all worked out for me over the course of time. I think I talked to a lot of young people about getting into the business. And unfortunately, when I talk to some young folks about getting into the business, they're significantly into another career when they decide, that college sports administration looks like a cool thing to be a part of. I think I want to go get into that. It's not quite that easy because I think at the end of the day, we are still a niche industry. It looks big because you see it on television and things like that. But it's not as big as some other industries that have thousands, maybe millions of people working into it. And so you've got to be real strategic about getting into it and then working your way up. I think if in a perfect world, young folks ought to start planning on being in the industry when they're in high school, so that when they get to college, they are working in the business and making connections and developing relationships, putting together a network. And then when they graduate, they can sort of put that network to work for them to get a job. And then, once you're in the business, let that network go to work for you as far as ascending up in the business. I think that certainly worked for me, and I can't give advice on something that worked for somebody else. I can give advice on something that worked for me, and I think that's the advice that I would pass along.
I love it. I love it. And I know it's, we're probably going to repeat it 10 more times in our conversation, but the power of relationships, right?
No question.
The power of relationships and network. And it's not who you know, it's who knows you. Right. So I love that. And having that plan, I'm right there with you. Every morning I have a checklist of things I want to accomplish for the day. Above my bed, I have my long-term goals and checklist. It's one of those things. If you don't have a plan, if you're not prepared, you're lost. So I absolutely love that point. So in terms of someone, who's been able to bring on, employees or team members from at various stages, right, in different areas, what are some of the things when you sat down for an interview that you looked for, specific characteristics or traits or skills in those potential team members?
Well, a moment ago you said it's not who you know, but who knows you. I think another good thing to think about is not what you know, but who you know. And I think to that particular point, when I was coming up in the business, sports administration, sports management degrees were not all that prevalent. I think there might have been less than a dozen at the time. And at this point, there are lots of them because I think colleges and universities have realized that it's a significant industry. And that's provided a curriculum opportunity for them to, educate young men and young women in. And so at this stage, I think in our industry, the number of people that more or less know what to do or know how to do things is significant. And really the way that you are able to separate people, have people emerge from a big stack of resumes, is to know a variety of things. Really, again, it's back to that networking thing. It's to know who that individual might know, but also to project that individual as a member of your team. You're going to want to know if that person will work well with other members of your inner team, but also your intra team. There's here at the College Football Playoff, I manage the marketing and strategic partnerships team, but we have to interact with all of the other departments here at the College Football Playoff. And if I'm talking with someone about being on my team, it's got to be somebody that can manage a rapport with everybody in the office as well as myself. And so, like I said there, I think finding a list of folks that can do the duties that are on a job description is pretty easy. But finding people that are liked, get along with other people, work well with other people, I think that's where the difference can be made.
It all goes back to relationships, right?
People dealing with people.
That's it. Like, you could teach, the majority of skills to people, but you can't teach personality and just being a good person. And I love that point. So in terms, I know you mentioned planning is something huge. And I absolutely love that. Obviously right now, there's not a lot of jobs. I think last I checked on Teamwork Online, there was like 100 jobs posted in the sales space, but in general, there's not that many. And that's going to change. There's light at the end of the tunnel. We can see it, right? So for those students that are, whether on the cusp of graduating college, or in college looking for an internship, or they just graduated, or they got let go, right? There's a lot of professionals that got let go, unfortunately. What are some things that you recommend they can do right now today to put themselves ahead of the competition when teams start to look to expand again?
Well, if they haven't already, I think they should go and volunteer and be a part of either a college athletics department or a professional sports team's revenue generating arm. I think we are in a time, particularly with this pandemic doing what it's done to our economy. And I don't know how many people have noticed it, but a lot of people have lost jobs in the athletics industry because of the pandemic. But a lot of the people that have lost jobs haven't been all that connected to generating revenue. But if someone can demonstrate that they can help an organization or a department generate revenue, that's a way that someone can really kind of separate themselves from others. And so, if you don't have a job in the industry and you're wanting to get a job in the industry, volunteer and basically make a request to show off your ability to generate revenue for a program.
Yeah, 100%. At the end of the day, money talks. Money talks. If you can bring in revenue, you're gonna have value. I mean, that's how I got my start in the industry. I did some volunteering, some different opportunities, the NCAA tournament. But I started working at a local gym selling personal training, and I proved I could do that. And one thing led to another. I got my opportunity with the Yankees, and one thing led to another. So just you got to go out there and find your niche, whatever that is. Go out and volunteer. Ask for opportunities, go meet people, build those relationships, and it's going to pay off for you in the end. So I absolutely love that. In terms, and this is a fun one. One of the ones that touches close to my heart is mentorship. And I know one of my main mentors, Rob Thompson, and that's how you and I got connected.
Right.
So I would love to hear from you. What is the value of mentorship, and in your experience, what have those relationships typically look like?
Well, the value is priceless. I'll start there. The first person that established himself as a significant role model and a resource for advice was a gentleman named Ralph Carpenter. He was the sports information director at Texas Tech University when I got there in the fall of 1975. He ultimately introduced me to a gentleman by the name of Dave Kaywood at the NCAA that was everything that Ralph was to me and more. And there's been others that I've had an opportunity to interact with over the years. So David Stern with the NBA, with Walt Nadzak with the Citadel when I was in the Southern Conference. Bill Hancock, the executive director of the college football playoff, one of my best friends in the world. And, we worked together at the NCAA on the Final Four, and it was like old home week when we were able to come back together and work on the college football playoff together. But you're right, mentors and role models and people that can give you valuable information, provide tough love to you when you need it. Those are the type of people that you need to have in your personal and professional life, if you ask me.
I love it. The tough love part. It's sometimes the best advice you can get is tough love and what you need to improve on. And those same mentors in my case, like Rob, he'll tell me where I need to improve, and but we've developed a friendship over that, and now he's my right hand man, and it's just it's having someone in your corner that you can turn to and ask questions and grow with. So I absolutely love that, and I appreciate the time. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know it's so valuable. I wanted to end this with a little fun question here. If there was any advice in your career or in life, or any experience that you had that you would recommend for the audience that you got to go out and do this, what would that be?
Oh my. Well, and I think you touched on it earlier when you talked about when I was at the Southern Conference, and I was, not afraid to leave something good and take a chance on something else. I talk about regretting, leaving college athletics and trying professional sports. But at the same time, I would also say that I would be playing the what if game for the rest of my life if I hadn't done it. And so it comes a time. It's kind of like when you have a job, it's probably the best time to get another job, as opposed to not having a job and taking a job that you might be in a desperate situation to take. I think that if you think something is a place where you might be better in your career, and you can handle it, financially and with your family situation, by all means, go and try it, because, I don't think you would ever want to be in a situation where you're going to be talking about, what if I had done that, for the rest of your life there, because it'll always rattle around in the back of your mind. I'm no longer asking myself what it would be like to work in professional sports. I haven't had that conversation with myself in a lot of years. I am at peace with the notion that college athletics is actually more a hobby for me than it is a job. I'm not feeling like dreading coming to work every day. Jim Host is another person that has played a special role in my life, and he used to always say, I can't sleep fast enough to get up every morning and go to work and work in this industry. And I wish I'd come up with that line myself, but I know what he's talking about. Because when you do something that you really like, and somebody pays you for it, it's not work. It's a passion that you can turn into a vocation.
What a great way to end it. What a great way. You're so right. And that's such a great quote. Where I fell in love with the industry when I was with the Yankees. I had an hour and a half train ride each way to commute back and forth to the Bronx every morning. I was up at 4 o'clock to go get a workout, but then 6:30. And then I was there for 8:30, worked all day, then back and do it again. But I loved every second of it. I loved every second. When I went to bed and got little sleep, I was excited to get back up and do it again. And that's just, when you find the job that you love in the industry you love, you're going to have that feeling, and you'll know it when it comes. So great advice, Alfred. I so much appreciate your time, as does the audience. And, so everyone get out there. If you have any, if you want more information, like we said, on the college football playoff and having that memorable experience of attending the game, feel free to reach out to myself or Alfred for more information. And then remember, Game Plan U Sprint Finals is up and running on our website, Game Plan U-Sprint. You can go and vote until Saturday, 11:59. Our founders need your support. Let your vote be counted. Don't sit on the sideline. But on behalf of myself, Game Plan U, Alfred, all of you, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Have a great, blessed weekend, everybody. Take care.